welcome to an Echo of Glory. It's another happy one here in Launchport Studios. Joining me once again, James Robbins. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And Gary Diamond. Hello.
Good morning.
You okay?
No.
No. You think you're not okay? I had to watch us lose to Everton with my wife, who I banished to another room at one point when I said, I'm not watching this anymore.
Was she okay, or was she rubbing it in?
No, because she's like the most pessimistic football fan you know. So I guess
Surely
being
not at 3-0.
No, but like I'm guessing like an Everton fan that happened. No, at 3-0, she's like, you can do this, you're going to get back in this. Even her brother's messaging me, you're going to get back in this, you're going to get back in this. I'm like, do me a favour. And obviously at 3-2, she pops her head round to be like, told you. I'm like, it's fine, we're not getting a third. Alas, we didn't. Let's go straight in, really. Not in the mood for banter chat. There is a bit of club news because a couple of things have happened. We played some football matches. The women back in action after their game against Everton was postponed last week. They beat Leicester 1-0. A goalkeeper own goal. As we say all the time on this pod, those are the teams they always beat. It's about beating the other teams, but a good win for them. The 21s drew 1-1 with Norwich. The 18s play the FA Youth Cup against Grimsby. I think that's tonight. They're still in all their cups. The men's team, no new signings and a Solanke injury. That's really the club news since then.
And Brennan injury and Basuma injury.
Yeah, I mean, some people would say that the Brennan injury was good news.
No Brennan chat.
Hashtag no Brennan chat. The Solanke injury dropped Saturday night. It was just like, I got a couple of messages in the space of about half an hour, like, here we go again. It's like, right. One of my responses automatically was, is it Solanke? And the response was, yes. I mean, if you could, I wouldn't want to choose anyone to get injured, really, but if you could choose anyone you wouldn't want it to be, right now, probably him. That was annoying, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think when you have...
It's our injury list. James, the producer, has put the injury list on a big screen, which you won't be able to see, but he has to scroll quite a long time to get to the end of the list. Oh, there you go. He's put it up. Okay. So these are the injuries. Okay. I mean, so you can make a team out of that. James, just slow down. So you've got Vicario in goal. You can play Dogie left back, Werner left wing, Bentancur in midfield, Romero centre half, Van der Ven centre half, Forster as your backup keeper, Ben Davies, Dominic Solanke, Wilson Odobert, Brennan Johnson, Yves Basuma. I mean, that's a team in there.
Yeah, it's a team. It's horrendous. And when Solanke, when it came out as injured, I was like, okay, what muscles he pulled? Because that's the story of the season. It turns out he's tweaked his knee, so it's even more painful because it's so unfortunate. Yeah. With a tweaked knee, but then Brennan has. Hey, no matter how you feel about him, it's an option gone.
It's a body.
It's a body, and he's done his. I think his calf is the rumoured, so his is a muscle injury, and I think Basuma might be back for Thursday, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But for me, you can't separate the injuries from the regime. It's so intense. The football's super intense. The training's got to be.
I think Solanke having a shot in training. I mean, even I'm not prepared to blame that on Ange.
No,
I've said
but
more
there's
often.
12 other players on that list with muscle injuries. You could take up Solanke, Vicario, and Forster's illness, but the rest of them are all muscular. Lots of hamstrings and
this is not new, James. It's not new to us. It happened last November. I mean, they all happened in that Chelsea game, but then we had niggles throughout the season. We had a clutch of players out for a while, and it's happened at Celtic. And I don't think it's a coincidence.
It's definitely not a coincidence. It cleared up at Celtic in the second year, I think. Let's not get it twisted. We have Europe this year, very similar to Newcastle last season.
Yep.
That the fixture list feels relenting. I want a break. I think even if we were winning, I don't want to watch us 3 times in a week. It's tiring me out, let alone the players.
Yeah.
But I don't see any caveats to the style of play or maybe the training that have mitigated the injuries.
I think the other issue is that we're talking about injuries and it's important to not dismiss them out of hand. However, we are at a point now where injuries cannot continue to be the go-to excuse for the performances that we're putting in.
Correct.
We had a team yesterday, first 11 certainly, and even some quality on the bench with the likes of Richarlison and more. We had a team yesterday more than capable more than capable of
against
going
the
to
poor
Goodison
Everton
Park
side. Yeah,
and doing a lot better. So as much as we can sit here and talk about injuries, it's just not something that I'm prepared to sit here and talk about today, because I don't think those injuries in any way mitigate the absolute car crash of a performance that took place yesterday.
yeah.
It's no secret that some of the players are tired. Like Porro is. I can't believe Reguilon didn't play.
Oh, so play Spencer right back and Reguilon at left back.
Because neither Spencer and Reguilon can play in the week, and
Yeah.
Porro looks like he's can't run. I've said this so many times recently. Kulusevski, probably our best player, looks dusted. Doesn't look like he can play a great goal, but yeah, he looks out of it. And then Solanke was the other player. I said, look, I know it wasn't a muscle injury, but fatigue leads you to joint injuries. You don't know where your body is. You're just not as, you're not holding yourself together as much. And tweaks his knee. Fatigue. I remember I played football. Started playing football twice in a week. Second game that week, did my ankle.
And you are at peak fitness.
And evidently, I am the peak male form. This things happen, and it just doesn't feel like we're helping it.
Yeah. We'll do the team in a second. Just as always, love people to get involved in the comments as they do on our YouTube stream when we are live. Hello to all of you getting involved. A couple of comments before we go through the team and talk about yesterday in more detail. Mark Stewart Wakely was at the game, says we need a decent captain. Again, another conversation we've had numerous times on this pod. Pilch58, a regular on the comments. Senior players have checked out. Now that's something I want to pick up on, because I thought against Newcastle when we lost 2-1, I felt actually we've seen end of days defeats at Spurs when managers have lost the dressing room. I didn't feel that happened. I felt yesterday, I know we got back to 3-2. I felt yesterday that they may have checked out. I feel like someone like Kulu, who he's a strong runner, and I just feel like he's not. This is probably wrong, but I'm just looking at him at the moment, going, I'm not sure you're giving everything that you were giving. He might be exhausted. He's someone who's playing all the time.
I think he's played in every single game this season.
Yeah, let's do the team. Because it's a real topic of discussion more often than not. It isn't. It just picks itself with what we've got available. This was weird. He changed formation for the first time.
Kind of.
Well, I don't know.
Not kind of.
Definitely. Let's just go through it. Kinski in goal. 3 centre backs. We weren't sure when. Do you know something interesting? Actually, the formation came through with Gray in midfield. And then he trained. It was bizarre. He was training alone at one point, just heading balls away. So no one really knew where he was going to. He didn't warm up in a back three. He was warming up alone, and the thought was he was just going to play in centre midfield because he wasn't warming up with Davies and Dragusin. Maybe to put Everton off. Sometimes you do that. The other team are looking at you. How are you going to line up? He ended up playing in a back three: Gray, Dragusin, and Davies. Porro is a sort of wing back. Saar Bergvall, Spence left wing back, obviously his normal position. Kulusevski, Son, and Maddison. Where you sent me a message like, where's Gray playing?
I don't think Gray knew where he was playing.
Yeah,
and this is an issue that for me with Ange, which is he seems to develop mantras that he sticks by and he is not going to deviate from. Earlier in the season, it was Jed Spence must not play in any game ever, only to then be forced to play Jed Spence. The new one is Archie Gray must not play in midfield ever. He can play everywhere else for us, but not midfield.
His actual position.
What his actual position? Why the hell would you go into that game yesterday when you change formation for the very first time? You've got a natural number 6 coming in. You can play him in a double pivot or even alone with Saar and Bergvall as the 8s, or a double pivot with Saar and Bergvall slightly further forwards, which is probably what I would have done. Either way, all of that is natural. It's seamless. It seems obvious. Seems that you said, the team news came out and Archie Gray was central midfield, of course, because anybody who's not a half-wit would have done that. But instead he says, do you know what? I'm going to ask this 18-year-old kid to play a position that we haven't trained in. I'm going to ask the team to play a system that we haven't trained in, because Solanke only got injured the afternoon before, so they can't have trained in it. They can't have practiced it. Archie Gray didn't look like he knew where he was playing. The players didn't look like they knew where he was playing. And the horror show that ensued was kind of inevitable off the back of that. Why did he not just play? And here's my problem with it. There's a lot of sort of tactical issues that you get, and you might not notice them until after the game. I remember against West Ham, I think it was highlighted on Match of the Day that our wingers started making overlapping runs instead of underlapping runs. It was a little tweak, but it yielded great results. And you might not notice that live. When it's a change of formation, to me, there should be a very clear and obvious reason why. And here's my biggest issue with what that formation was. I've got no idea why. What was the point of it? What was the tactical reason for it?
He said, I only have 11 players fit.
But
Which is not, it's just such a rubbish
then why not play them in their right positions?
Because there was no reason to change it up in a sense.
What do you mean there's no
personnel.
What do you mean?
There was no reason to change it, given the personnel available.
Yeah, he's agreeing with you guys.
Right, fine.
Yeah.
Like, it could have just
but this is
thrown
what I'm
out
saying.
the 4-3-3 we do every
This is
week.
what I'm saying. Right? Exactly that. But this is what I'm saying, right? If they went to a back three, and I could look at Everton and say, oh, well, the reason he's done that is actually pretty simple and obvious. It's because of X, Y, and Z. He's gone to a back three against a team with a striker that can't score a goal before they play us, a team that had scored 5 goals in 11 previous Premier League games. 4 of those were in one game. So you could say
and 2 of those were own goals.
And you could say that. So this is a team you could say scored 1 goal in 10 previous Premier League games. And he's gone, oh, Dominic Calvert-Lewin though. Let's put 3 centre backs against him. Sorry, Ange, you're done, mate. That has killed me. That has killed me. Because you could have played a natural formation, a natural team, and I guarantee the whole thing would have looked a lot better. It was disgusting. And I'd love to hear from Ange. I'd love to hear what in his brilliant
we've got him live.
What in his brilliant head, he went, this is going to work. This is why I've asked Archie to play this position.
What do you think when Solanke goes down Saturday, he has to, or he doesn't have to, in his mind he's gone, right, shit, I need to do something else. As you just said, I don't think the plan was to play. If Solanke was fit, he wouldn't have played 3-5-2. No. So what in his head has gone, oh God, I need to play 3 centre-halves today?
No, that's what I'm saying to you. There is no clear tactical reason. They haven't trained in that formation. You're asking an 18-year-old kid to do a job that he doesn't know what he's doing, and it looked like he didn't know what he was doing. It's completely unfair to Archie Gray. It was completely unfair to the whole team.
He could have stuck with the same back 4.
Well, I will say that it wasn't quite just a 3 at the back.
Okay.
It wasn't as simple as that. Ultimately, in possession, we were still roughly building up in the same formation we always do. I found
I was asking Gray to step into half spaces.
Yeah, so I described it as a bit of a Newton's cradle as well, because
What's that mean?
So as Spence would go out and up, Porro would be the right back and tuck in, Gray centre back, Dragusin centre back, Davis left back,
right,
and then it would shift the other way and Porro go forward, Spence in, Davis, Dragusin, Gray as a right back.
Okay.
And then also Gray was being asked to step into midfield.
Yeah.
To me, that seems like too many jobs.
Correct.
We moan that Ange doesn't have a plan B. I appreciate the effort and the thought to try a plan B. And the only way I can see it is he maybe doesn't believe Gray is a 6. I don't know.
Maybe.
He has only played there in a double pivot. Some people think he's a better 8. I think he could grow to be a fantastic 6. I've said this before. Maybe that's why I didn't like it, but I was happy to see a change. Maybe it was to be more defensively solid. Maybe because we have no one in, like Gray and Davis in the air. That's terrible.
That's my point, right? Ryan's put on our comments, you can't create a plan B the night before the game. That's the exact point. I don't mind if he wants to try something different. We've all been crying out for him to try something different. That's fine. But at least train for it. Don't just go, oh God, Solanke's injured, so let's try this. They can't have trained.
We don't know if it was the night before, but I will say, given, I think Ruben Amorim's talked recently, like we have a game every 3 days. I've had 4 training sessions, so we know there's not a lot of system or tactical work going on, maybe one day of it. I don't see why the back line would change if Solanke's out.
No.
That doesn't necessarily make any sense to me.
The whole team, the whole shape of that team did not make sense. When you can say that Ange might not think that Gray's a 6, and possibly that's the reason. Apparently, Ange didn't think Spence was a fullback either. So, I can't. I really can't anymore with this guy. I was sat here last week saying there's no point sacking him if we're not going to have the opportunity to bring in another manager straight away. I'm almost at the point now, and I'll get stick for this because I was a defender of Ange. For a long time, I wanted to believe in where he was going. I wanted to believe in the philosophies. I liked the way he came across. But as time goes on, you see more and more. And I'm yesterday playing that formation at that moment against that team. It was just everything's completely wrong. It is completely wrong.
Yeah, Jamie Carragher. Am I allowed to say friend of the show? Am I going to get in trouble on the comments for that again? He was really, really scathing. I actually said I didn't watch most of the second half because I was so angry. but I dipped in and out, and Carragher was scathing. I mean, Calvert-Lewin got him behind 3 or 4 times. I mean, the bloke can't finich. It's why he's not scored. It's why he's not scored in 16 games.
There's nothing to him. He's a big lump.
Yeah,
that's it.
He's got a lovely goal. To be fair, it's a lovely
dribble,
goal
again. And I mean, I've come into chat before. Dragusin is one of the worst signings, and I know he's been praised on this show, and I've been staunch on this. One of the worst signings we have made ever. Not going to say he's rubbish, because that's not fair, but he should never have been signed for this team. He shouldn't play in this team. He doesn't fit.
The data doesn't fit, does it?
He's quite quick, he's strong, and we did need a box defending presence, because people have said, "Oh, drop in for a minute," which I disagree with. Plus, Romero and Van der Ven aren't good box defenders to sit in there. Dragusin is that, but he can't do anything else. He can't pass. Liverpool targeted him and Arsenal targeted him in possession. Calvert-Lewin sent him for a hot dog with his dribbling. And it's multiple games now.
I've been to Goodison. The hot dog is shit.
It's been a couple of games now where Dragusin has gone off. Fortunately, I don't know if he was taken off because he's rubbish or because of the cut on his head.
Yeah.
Easy excuse to be like, I kind of want to get him off. We look better whenever he goes off the pitch. I think he is awful. Worst centre back signing since Kirikesh. I know a minute ago I said I wouldn't say he's rubbish. Actually, I don't care. He is rubbish. And that's a question mark for
his
the
agent
recruitment
might have something
team.
to say to you about that.
He's been quiet, the agent, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting all these minutes, and suddenly he's gone quiet.
He's not. We're not a stepping stone for Real Madrid anymore. I think we're a stepping stone for the Championship.
I don't think he's great. I think he's not been helped. Again, I wonder how he'd be if he was alongside Van der Ven.
Well, we've seen it. He wasn't good.
Well,
we've seen it before. He wasn't good when they were fit. He was bad with Romero when he had to play on the left, and he was bad with Van der Ven when he had to play on the right. Because Van der Ven's not a good passer either, but he's safe. But Dragusin at the same time, he needs 3 years to pass the ball. And yeah, he can actually do that. He's got an okay long ball, but Romero, what we're losing with him
is breaking the press pass.
He can break lines of an entire team with a pass.
Yeah.
We miss that a lot. That's not fair to judge Dragusin on, but just some competence in possession, please.
Yeah.
And he got sold by Calvert-Lewin for that first goal. Absolutely sold. And then we had to play Davis for 90 minutes, and I was back on the injury front. That also made me angry as well. There was no winning.
Well, Ange had said, I'm not sure Dragusin was going to come off, or what the plan was, even if he was playing badly, because Ange said before kickoff, Ben's not going to play 90.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Like I say, with every defeat at the moment, I don't want to go through every kick, misplaced pass and whatever. But we are 3-0 down at Everton, a team as you said, have scored 5 goals in the last 11 games or something. 2 of those were Craig Dawson own goals. David Moyes became the first Everton manager to beat Tottenham since David Moyes at Goodison. 12-year gap between defeats at Goodison. It was our second defeat in 25 games against Everton. We don't lose to Everton. Tottenham Hotspur don't lose to Everton. It's just one of those weird things that happens, but Angie's in charge, so we do.
And the thing is, right, is we went in 3-0 at half time. It could have been more.
Without doubt.
People say Son missed a good chance. He did. I think Son should have had a penalty.
Absolutely.
I think that's a clear-cut penalty, and that's at 1-0. Both of those incidents are at 1-0, and that could change things. So people might say, you're missing that, you haven't mentioned that, and that changes everything. The reality is Everton carved through us time and time and time and time again. And this is a team that can't score a goal. That's the worry. That's the big concern. You might say, they've had a new manager bounce, new manager. David Moyes is not an attacking manager. He's not somebody that is renowned with his team scoring buckets full of goals. The commentators were taking the pee yesterday, saying Everton players can't believe how much time they've got here. Right? They haven't seen this amount of time at Goodison for years. It was a disaster. So, yes, Son missed a good chance. Yes, we should have had a penalty. Those things are true. But we could have been 5 or 6 down at half time against a team that can't score a goal. Yeah. We really could have been.
You mentioned something there which has been a bit of a bugbear of mine, and I think we need to take note of is I think we've scored since Ange came in 97 goals, or since that Chelsea game, 97 goals and conceded 80 odd.
Yeah.
Which the conceding is bad, but this season, defensively, generally, I think we have been better than last season.
Yeah.
A lot. Ange makes the point all the time. It's only by 1 goal. Blah blah blah. We've managed to score 97 goals, but I feel like we can't score goals. We scored 1 against Liverpool. It's those games like the Southampton game or Man United or Man City where we score multiple goals because there's space.
Villa, West Ham.
Exactly. We didn't score against Forest. We only got 1 against Rangers. Tamworth was a struggle for 90 minutes.
Well, Tamworth kept us to 0 for 90 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't score. We didn't score against Bournemouth. Only one at Fulham, one at Ipswich. Didn't score at Palace. Only one at Alkmaar. We can't score goals. Like one at Newcastle because they're not going to give you that much space, and then one at Leicester to the start of the year. We actually can't create. We're terrible at creating chances.
Someone said on Twitter, I think it's Matt Hayes. He said, "Well, still only Liverpool have scored more goals than us in the Premier League right now." I mean, I don't care. Yeah. We're 15th. Liverpool are top, and we're 15th. I couldn't.
And James makes the right point. When we put teams away, we put them away. We know this. I mean, 5-0 against Southampton. That was the last win, I think. And when we score 3 or 4, then yes, we win. But we're not scoring enough more regularly against teams that we should be. And I want to go back to the point about injuries because it is an important one. And there's 2 comparisons to make. One, people say, Newcastle last season when they had injuries. Yeah, they were never as bad as this though. They were never as low down and in a rut of form like this. They were still picking up results here and there. I think they got 13th
or so. They were pretty.
Yeah, but they weren't like one win in 10 miseries.
They weren't like this. And the other one, which is topical and obviously easy to point at, is Bournemouth, who went to Newcastle this weekend, missing 10 players. And by all accounts, pundits are saying it was the best away performance they've seen from any single team this season, the best team performance they've seen from any single team this season. So it is possible to have multiple injuries and pull out results and pull out big performances. And Bournemouth are right up there consistently doing it. So we can't continue to look at injuries as the reason. We've got to start looking at the deeper things. And they are, unfortunately, Ange. Yeah. And then you can take a look at transfers. It is a disgrace that we have not brought in an outfield player.
20th day of the window.
20th of January. We have not brought in an outfield player. That's a disgrace.
Forgetting Ange's situation and how we feel about him, he has not been helped in the slightest. And it feels like we wanted Kolo Muani and then it's not happened. We have no one else no backup. I don't think Ryan Cherky is in the press a lot at the moment. He's available for 20 mil. He's a quality player. I don't think necessarily we should sign him over other options because apparently his attitude's not great and stuff. And who knows if he'll press, but I don't know, just do the old Alex Ferguson and hurt them and then make him press, do something nuts, make him press. But he's available. There are players out there. We've done nothing, absolutely nothing. And it feels like we're just waiting for the centre-backs to get back. Something has to be looked at the recruitment.
Of course it does. We've not signed. It's day 20 of the transfer window. We've not signed anyone. I'll ask a question in a minute based on that. A couple of comments. JJJ has said, of course it's impossible to say we're not scoring goals when statistically we're scoring goals. We know we are scoring goals. We know. We score goals in clutches in these games when we're open. Yeah, we even managed to get 2 yesterday. Felt a little bit like my theory on the Amsterdam comeback with Mora. I didn't believe it was any too much that Poch did. They just went for it, and it was like shit. And these professional footballers did their thing and managed to get 3 goals. Yesterday, there was nothing tactically wonderful that got us back in that game. It just happened with a little bit of quality from Moore, a nice finish from Richarlison, obviously Kulu's wonderful goal. And JJ also picks up on Bournemouth haven't had 10 players out for 3 months playing twice a week. We know that. We've said that. The squad is probably not good enough for the 3 games a week at the moment. It's certainly been ravaged by injury for the 3 games a week, but Bournemouth have still gone there. We ain't winning 4-1 at Newcastle. Was it 4-0? 4-1? I worked on the game. Can't even remember. 4-1 at Newcastle with the way we are at the moment.
And as much, Jojo, I mean, I can't believe people are still making excuses for Ange because it is inexcusable at this point. It just is. Honest to God, I really wanted the guy to succeed, but this is inexcusable. And I can't believe people are going, but Bournemouth haven't had 2 games a week and 10 players missing.
We're 15th in the league.
If Ange had used Spence from the beginning of the season, if Ange against Everton goes, do you know what? This is a good game to rest Porro because he's on his feet, so I'm going to put Reggie on him. If Ange had used his squad properly, there and it hadn't worked, then I'd say fine. But he's had options. He's had options to rest players, and he hasn't taken them. He hasn't done it.
He didn't when players were fit either.
No, exactly that.
The central midfield would get some rotation, but there was nothing
exactly that.
Anywhere
you
else.
Talk about Dragoshin, right? He played Van der Ven and Romero every minute that he could in every single game. And you've got a centre-back that was coming off the bench cold when he had to come
And
in.
what happened when he started? He got sent off after 5 minutes
Got sent
against
off
Karabakh.
exactly because he was cold. He could have brought him on for 15, 20 minutes, saved a bit of Van de Ven, saved a bit of Romero. You don't know if that would have made a difference. The guy did not use his squad. He still is not using his squad. He is not giving players the break when he's got the opportunity. So I'm sorry, I don't accept JJJ that, Bournemouth haven't had... Ange hasn't used the squad. If he had have done, I'd be sat here saying you're right, but he hasn't used the squad.
The message I sent a friend yesterday was not using subs was criminal. I don't care if they're kids on the bench. And I was listening to someone say earlier, and I completely agreed that saying I've only got 11 fit players, what does that say to the kids on the bench? I really hate that. And no, he might not use them, or very often. And I also kind of agree with the people's sentiment. If you don't want to chuck a kid into for their debut in an absolutely awful match and just kill their confidence, fair enough. But we are crying out for rotation. Moore could have come on 10 minutes earlier. Richarlison came. Don't know about his fitness. Fair enough, but glad he came on. But other than that, Yang on the bench. He might not be ready. But if you're gonna. For me, fair enough, you don't want to bring Olosesi on, for example, who I think is, or Lancashire, because you've got Richarlison. But let's say Olosesi for Sarr or something. Central midfielder, fine. That might be a bit much. But to a young winger who's going to be at the top right of the pitch, if they lose the ball up there, it's better than if they lose it in deep midfield. And he's going to be able to run a bit and just give someone a rest. And also, might be able to take on Mikalenko. He might be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then Moore came on, and I just wish he had 10 minutes more. Yeah. Because you could see him warming up in the game. He started off a bit not shaky, but not super confident to take on Ashley Young. And as it grew, he was like, okay, I can get down the line every time. And then he whipped that perfect ball into Richarlison. Yeah. Incredible ball.
And he was involved in the first goal as well. Very much. So, Moore made a hell of a difference when he came on. And it was, I hate to say it again because, apparently criticism is not allowed and you get abused for criticising players. I will criticise Son. That doesn't mean I don't love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. I absolutely hugely respect everything that Son has done for this club. And there will come a time where we honour Son properly. But right now, he is struggling. He's a senior player, he's the captain, and he is struggling. And it shows when you get a kid, Mikey Moore, coming on in his position, and I wouldn't quite say changing the game, but impacting it in a short space of time significantly more than, all right, Son was up front first half, but second half, Son did nothing on the wing, not a thing. Moore comes on for a similar amount of time in the same position, and instantly impact it a great deal more.
Mark Clifford says he was at the game. It was toxic in the stadium yesterday, and he also says situation is untenable with Andrew. I agree with that, but the abuse that Son got post match, that's disgusting.
I would say you can't actually be clear in a video such as that if he was getting direct abuse. However, did look like it, and if he was, the away fans normally are a bastion of football. For me, they're the people you need to respect going up and down the country every week, multiple times, spending a lot of money. They should be celebrated.
Yeah, and they feel it. They feel it.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. You don't, not Son. There's plenty of other players there that you could hound.
I think it's unacceptable. I think it's unacceptable to anybody. I think when Ange went over against Bournemouth and they abused him, that was unacceptable. If you're abusing players, it's not something that sits comfortably with me at all. I don't think that there is anybody at the club that wants to be in this position and is trying to be in this position. So, the abuse isn't. I think isn't fair. I can agree with booing a performance. Absolutely. But I think if players are coming over and you're abusing them, or the manager's coming over and you're abusing him,
just clap them.
Then that's.
They don't even have to clap them. You don't have to do anything.
That's too far. You can boo, fine, but actual abuse is too far. But with that said, I just think Son, at this moment, his better impact was coming on as a sub the other day. I can't remember which game. He came on, he looked fresh against tired legs. Newcastle, and he actually looked like he could impact. But starting games...
Or Wolves, can't remember. One of the
starting games is becoming increasingly a problem.
One of my indictments on Ange is in regards to Son, and it also leads to our recruitment as well. He's not... A lot's made that we need a one-on-one winger who can take on their fullback. especially against a low block. That'd be very, very helpful. More came on, and guess what? We look like we started to create chances. I don't think there has been a huge amount to try and get the best of Son. A little bit, maybe. We don't always invert the fullbacks now in a game. It's very clear that they are instructed to do both. Sometimes go on the outside, sometimes come on the inside. And then Son, that means he can play inside sometimes. We're not making enough of him playing inside at all. And I don't feel like we've set him up for success to get into those half-space positions and whip the ball in.
Well, when was the last time we saw him look at Udogie outside him, go, I'm not going to give it to you, I'm going to cut inside, I'm going to hit it. When he doesn't do that anymore.
And a lot of them look shot for confidence. Son isn't shooting, and Sarr, bless him. Sarr has had 2 games now where he's been utterly abysmal.
Well, I think it's more than that, because it was Newcastle, he was poor, Arsenal, he was poor, yesterday he was poor. Yeah, we've got big problems. We've got big problems. I just want to pick up again, JJJ. Away fans are overvalued. They just have more time and money on their hands than regular fans. No, that's not right, okay? I've got friends who have similar situation to myself, similar sort of financial situation to myself, 2 young kids, similar ages. They go away every single game. Why? Because that's what they choose to do, and they make it happen for themselves. I haven't made that sacrifice. You cannot overvalue the away fans. They are an integral part of the club.
They're an integral part of football culture in Europe as a whole, and especially in this country.
100%. This isn't about people who just have more time and money. These are people who consciously make the decision to dedicate all their free time to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Yeah. So to devalue that, I'm sorry, that is wrong.
He might not be wrong. They may have more time and money. A selection.
Listen, I hope there will come.
It's the effort.
Yeah,
it's the effort involved.
A huge effort. I hope there will come a time when my kids are older and I can start to once again dedicate more time to going away from home. But a lot of these people make tremendous sacrifices. A lot of them make tremendous sacrifices to go to away games. I don't think you can undervalue any fan wherever they're watching the game, however they're watching it. But I think away fans in particular, you don't appreciate the effort that they make.
Let's talk about Ange. I'll say a little surprised he wasn't sacked after Arsenal, if I'm honest. I'm extremely surprised that he's still here. We were 4th when Conte got sacked, 5th when Mourinho got sacked.
Yeah, but Conte made it on time.
No, hang on. Yes, he did. 5th when Mourinho got sacked, 8th when Nuno got sacked. I think we've won 5 out of 10 under Nuno. 1 in 10. He's still here. Don't know if by the time we come off air, he's still going to be here. But at the moment, he's still here.
I said 11 p.m. last night or 11 a.m. this morning. We're 1 minute away from 11 a.m. So who knows?
Okay. Is he not being sacked because they don't want to sack him? Is he not being sacked because they think that when the players come back, it will all be fine, and February, March, April and May are going to be wonderful and we're going to start doing some things? Or are they not sacking him because they haven't got anybody to replace him yet?
The problem I've got at the moment with Ange, right? A lot of people could say, okay, injuries, when injuries come back and then things will change. For Ange to turn this round, and you know, we could still have an amazing season, right? We could win the League Cup, we could win the FA Cup, and we could win the Europa League. We could turn around at the end of the season, and it could be one of the most successful seasons we've had in a long, long time. But I do always think the league is the true barometer of the strength of a team.
Correct.
Okay? And for Ange to turn it around in the league, you know, I'll point to United winning the FA Cup last season. It can happen. United were dreadful last season. And actually then winning the FA Cup was a curse because it meant that they kept Ten Hag when otherwise there's no doubt that if they hadn't won the FA Cup, Ten Hag would have gone. He absolutely would have gone. And that would have given another manager the summer, the transfer window and time, and United would be in an infinitely better position than they are at the minute. The problem I've got with Ange right now, or with this situation right now, is for it to be retrieved and for the league to look even semi-decent requires a level of consistency that we haven't had in results since those first 10 games. That level of consistency also requires a level of consistency in injuries. The only things consistent that we've seen are lack of performance, lack of results, and continual injuries for a sustained period of time. So many things have to turn around for this to become tenable. It's untrue. And for all of that said, we could still end up winning a cup or two. Sorry, 17th. Timothy Whittaker, 17th. Go on.
No, sorry, Gary. I'm going to come through some of the comments. So I've asked I put it out there, asking why has he not been sacked. Michelle says option B, which I think, and I only said it about 2 minutes ago, was me saying that they think the players are going to come back and we're going to have a wonderful February, March, April and May.
Like against Palace when the players were there.
Right. Pilch58 says he's on a week to week. I think Vardy could finish him off. I mean, God, if we do lose to Leicester next week, then yeah, God help him. Gary Beck says, would have happened if it was going to happen. Yeah, I think that's possibly. My belief personally is that they don't have anyone lined up. When they sacked Potts, Mourinho came in, pretty much straight away. I don't think they want to give the keys to Mason again, which we all agree we don't want to happen.
I don't know.
It would be.
I was saying
Matt
I don't want that, but I'm kind
Yeah,
of also.
there's talk of.
I'm kind of also veering towards.
Me, I led my son's team to a
Yeah.
5-2 win
Why
yesterday
not?
against a team we didn't beat
You can have a
previously.
crack.
Thank you.
And sorry, it's also not gaming. I'm not saying that we will win the cups. I agree with you. The way it's going, it's more likely we won't beat Liverpool. It's more likely that we will go out to Villa, and it's more likely that actually we won't win the European Cup. I agree with you at the way things are going. I'm just saying, 5 months' time from now, we could be sat here bathing in glory. It's possible to happen, but.
Tommy Whitaker says, Timothy Whitaker, Gary, you wanted to pick up on
This is
that.
going to make me blow my top.
17th and a cup is a successful season.
Sorry, we might lose a viewer here. Grow up, Tim. No, seriously, grow up. That's not a successful season.
No.
That's not. How can you possibly say 17th in a cup is a successful season? I'd love to know actually how long you've followed Tottenham. I don't. People that have this mentality of 17th in a cup is a successful season.
James, have you zoomed in on Gary?
Like, I'm going to get I know I'm going to get pelters.
It's the personal relationship you want on the podcast with your viewers. It's got to be positive and negative.
Put some music, Gary.
Like I just can't get that mentality. 17th in a cup is a successful season.
No.
Oh.
There is a thought process that winning breeds winning, but I think for me that's actually this winning the League Cup does nothing for us, or winning the FA Cup. It'd be great. It's a great day out.
I think we'd have a better chance of winning the League Cup if we're winning league games.
Yeah, listen,
Winning does breed winning. If you are consistently winning league games, you will win trophies. Liverpool are more likely to win the League Cup even though they're 1-0 down. Why? Because they win a lot of games.
Yeah.
It would get something off our back. I can agree with that, but 17th is outrageous.
Doesn't make it a successful season.
No, it doesn't. And 17th is crazy.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
James.
It's not where we should ever be as a football club. We are Premier League all timers. We've never been relegated.
Do you know something?
I don't think we finished that low ever either in the Premier League era.
I sit there when we're losing games and I look at teams like Sheffield United, Burnley, who yo-yo between the Premier League. I'm always like, I'm so comfortable that we've never been relegated. I made a comment on our WhatsApp, obviously one of my pessimistic looking for reaction comments about 2 or 3 months ago. I said, we'll get relegated in the next 5 years. And you all rightly took me to task over it. But actually, finishing 17th, like, you might finish, you might then be there for a while. You may become Everton, who are finishing 17th, 16th, 15th. We have to get out of this grind now.
I don't think any Spurs fans said 17th in a cup. I know me personally, I was about 13th and a cup. And then I saw us in 15th place around the Arsenal game, and I didn't believe we were there. I looked at the table, I was like, what is this? This is wrong. Our logo should not be down there.
Correct.
Except for the first match of the season where it's in alphabetical order.
You've worked in TV with, like me, James, you work on graphics. The league table goes up at work, and they tend to start with, here's a top 10, and I'm like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then they put on the second graphic, and it's the bottom 10.
You're near that little red 3.
Yeah, but you're also 11 points off that top half. Like you're 11 points off that top half. It's not even as though a win and we're back in the top half. You need 4 or 5 back-to-back wins to get into the top half. That's how far away we are. When did we last have 4 or 5 back-to-back wins? That ain't going to happen.
Well, the first 10 games on
the Premier League is so tight. This is not an excuse for where we are. It's just more of an amazement.
And look at how far off we are.
I wish we would. No, I mean, like, I wish we were higher in the league just to be able to slightly enjoy such a competitive Premier League. I think it's the most exciting Premier League there has been for a decade plus, and we can't enjoy it because we're not a part of it.
Yeah.
And that is really, really frustrating. During the match, I was staunchly Ange out. After the match, I'm back on that. I'm still probably more closer to out than in. But I'm so tired of the churn of managers. absolutely tired of it. I don't know what would be more painful, where we are now or looking for another
But this
manager.
is what we actually need. This is actually what we probably need to get rid of. I know Conte set fire to the whole place, but if he hadn't, who knows what may have happened.
If he hadn't, I didn't like him, but he's clearly a very good manager. And if he hadn't have burnt the place down, then you stick by him. But that's a track record of proven manager.
The sacking managers after 18 months thing, no one likes. Listen, you all count yourselves lucky you don't support a team in Serie A because they change their managers every 6 weeks. But I get it. No one wants to change again, but actually change has to happen now. And I know people on here and on social media keep going, look at the tools he's been given. We all know that Levy's a problem and Langer and Munn may not be the guys, but ultimately, I've said it ad nauseum on here for months and months. And I've been like, we shouldn't be 8th. And then I'm like, we shouldn't be 10th. And then I'm like, we shouldn't be 13th. Sure as shit, we should not be 15th. As Ryan says I'm looking at Palace and West Ham results now. Ipswich are losing 6-0 to Man City. I'm like, thank God for that.
We've got Leicester next weekend.
Because joking aside, one of those teams gets their act together and we don't. I don't believe we're in a relegation battle yet. We are not in a. We could be come Sunday if Leicester beat us. Someone said on social media,
if Leicester beat us on Sunday, we're in a relegation battle.
Of course,
because Leicester are a shower.
Oh, sorry, because Everton beat us, or if Leicester beat us.
Well, Everton have beaten us. If Leicester beat us this weekend, and they are an absolute shower.
Yeah.
If they're beating us, we've got serious problems.
People will say back him or sack him. I think I've said it actually a couple of weeks ago. But actually, is he really the right man to be backed? I think Ollie said it on here. To play Ange ball, whatever that might actually be, you need to have top players. I'm not convinced we have the elite, and everyone has to be round pegs, round holes, and everybody has to be fit. It doesn't happen. I know we've got loads of injuries, but we're never going to have everybody fit.
But this is my problem. I don't agree with this concept of backing him. I agree with what Tottenham had set out to do last summer, which is not last summer, the summer before, implement a DNA, implement a style, right? Whereby it's not about backing him, it's about buying the players for the way that we want to play, and any manager coming in should want those players, which is why the connections with Allegri, I hope, are just rumour. Because
my God, I don't think I'd turn on.
Allegri is not the guy. No. He's not the guy, right?
Would you have him for 5 months to settle?
Yes, right now I would have him for 5 months.
No,
right now I have.
If I said to you, James, now you've got Ange until May or Allegri until May.
Ange,
really?
Ange, 100%. I'm not having another Conte, Jose, and one that hasn't left Italy, who is absolutely dusted, come to this club and make it even worse.
What's James put up here?
That we're going to survive.
Oh, so it's
okay. 99 chance.
So there's a guy on social media who runs a simulation, runs all the games 1,000 times, and gives us a 99.9% chance of surviving. I'm sure. Okay, so we've got a 0.1% chance of getting relegated.
At this stage of the season, it ought to be a 100% chance of not getting relegated. Look,
we're not going to get a new manager now that we want.
No,
and I don't think and this is where I am just see some players back. If the players come back fit, and then we don't pick up,
but what if
done?
But
absolutely
done. What if the players are saying, or behind closed doors? What if they're saying, injuries are kind of because we're being overworked, and okay, we're playing 3 games a week because of injuries, but actually on the training pitch the intensity hasn't dropped? What if the players behind the closed doors are saying, what if Maddison's behind closed doors going,
don't get me started on
these tactics don't really work, right? What if they're behind? Then you've got to change it. Then you've got to change it.
One thing I will say is, I think I said in the chat that I love Ange he is such an idealistic idea of what you want in your football manager in terms of how he generally handles interviews up until the losers.
I've never bought
not recently. That. I've liked his his personal views and his idea of how he wants to play football. It's a very romantic way of playing football.
Yes.
And it would be. I hated Jose and Conte, but they would have never got us this low in the league, and I despised them with every fibre of my being.
Yep.
They would have never had us this low in the league. However, if there is no good coach, where, as you say, a DNA, looking at teams like Brighton and how they always seem to have a manager who fits a pretty similar ethos, where the players you've signed are going to fit. Unless we can find that manager right now, if you offered me that right this second, that we're going to pay the money to get Ange out, we're going to pay the money to get a manager in, and we're still going to sign some players. If you gave me those 3 things, I would be like throw him out the door.
Yeah.
But we are not going to do those.
I don't
things.
even necessarily need you need the money to sign the players. That's a third thing, right? You're going to get players back from injury. You know, yes, it'd be nice to get some players in. Of course it would be, and we should have done that. But if you said to me right now, Andrew's gone and the manager that we want is coming in tomorrow, then it's a no-brainer. But let me ask you this.
Agreed.
Let me ask you this. I would always be sceptical of any manager that's doing well at another club leaving that club, you know, today to go to Tottenham. However, with that said, the point was made to me from somebody this morning. He said, Iraola is the lowest paid manager in the league and has got 18 months left on his contract. Are you telling me that is not a guy that we could get out of Bournemouth? You pay them the 18 months.
Sorry, go on, James.
I would accept Iraola coming in, but he is not my choice. I don't think our fans would put up with the lack of possession game. Which at this moment in time, considering how bad we are, and when he's off the table,
we're not in possession of the ball. When are we ever in possession?
70% against Everton. We didn't do anything with it. I would like an attacking coach with a bit more of a possession game because I don't want to see defending and then counter-attacking. But that's a personal thing.
Okay.
But if you offered me Iraola right now and he will come and we will back him, then I'll take him.
There's three things to pick up on what you've just been saying. Firstly, Gary Bex has made a couple of points on Edin Terzic. What I will say is we had a great chat today with Kevin Hatchard, who is a German football commentator, expert. We're not going to put that in today's show because it's all about Spurs today. But obviously, we're playing Hoffenheim on Thursday. We're going to put that out later in the week. And we did ask him about Edin Terzic. I won't tell you what he said because you can go watch it for yourself later in the week.
And you should, because he has some great insight.
Yeah, he was great, Kevin. So we do talk about Terzic. The other thing, Iraola, I've banged that drum for a while. I think he's a really good coach. Gives me Poch vibes. He's got one eye for me on the Bilbao job. Bilbao is his club. He played over 500 times. Their manager is, I believe, out of contract in the summer. They're actually doing really well, so he may get a new contract. And I said there were 3 points, and I can't remember what the other one was.
But there's a few managers I like. I think Marco Silva at Fulham he's had a bad time before.
And don't say
but
Thomas
he's always
Frank.
been a good coach. I don't want Thomas Frank, but I think that's what we would do.
Do you?
And that fills me with fear.
Yeah.
Langer's worked with him before when they were both quite young. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. And I just feel like I could see that unfortunately happening. I like Hersler at Brighton.
Haven't seen enough.
I really like him.
But here's the thing, right? I said Iraola with 18 months left and a low-paid manager. My wider point about that is actually there are many Iraolas around Europe who are obtainable. Brighton, as you rightly say, managed to seem to go out and find them. Bournemouth have managed to go out and find them. I don't need it to be a name. Yep. I just need for Spurs to rock up and say, right, Andrew's gone, this is our new manager. Probably never heard of the guy because I'm not that well-versed on European or world football, right? But if that was the case, then you start researching and you go, oh, okay, this is and it looks like one of those sort of really good, ambitious appointments. And the overarching thing is that Ange isn't there. I think he's done. What he did yesterday at Everton has to be the final name. It has to be the final nail in the coffin. Gary Beck says McKenna. McKenna, I mean,
McKenna.
It's mad to say this after they got thumps yesterday, but whatever. They're Ipswich. I mean, I looked at that, whatever form City are in, they should thump Ipswich, right? McKenna, I really like. Everything I hear about him in the game is really, really positive. Meant to be one of the most innovative, creative, best trainers, really attention detail, focused on the opposition, has done a great job wherever he's been. McKenna would be a big shout for me.
I wouldn't take Carrick right now, but I have a friend who's a Borough fan, and Carrick does look like one as well. In the future, could step up and be a good coach in the Premier League one day as well. Your manager point about just go and get one does lead me to a slightly wider point with us
flippant,
as a club.
But we should be aware of who the managers are.
But we should be, and I'd like to think we are, but I think we need to. We've been saying this for years, and this is the first time I've been a bit Enoch out, and I never really have been.
We're doing this chat.
I don't want. So no,
we can.
It's a point I want to touch on. That I've not wanted a state-owned estate to come by the club. I've not wanted some American consortium to come by the club. I don't think the grass is necessarily greener, and I think ultimately Enoch have done a lot of good. Right now, where we are as a football club, we finally got that stadium. We make so much money. City are in their third, and they're in their crisis. What have they done? They've gone and signed 3 players. One in Marmoush, that will definitely help them now up front. so they can rotate some more and he can play in a couple of positions. He's a good player. They've signed that young centre-back Kusanov that's been linked with everyone, who's very highly rated. I wasn't sure if
the skeptic in me is they're trying to open up another market there.
Maybe. And then they have Victor Rice, the South American midfielder, coming in as well. And there's rumours they want Diogo Costa from Porto to replace Ederson in the summer. There's been a link I've seen today.
Can we compare ourselves with City? For me, look at the January window as a whole.
It's not about who they're signing per se. They also have been rumoured to want to sign 6 players January. At some point, we have to open the bank, and we're never going to do it with this ownership. But right now, given where we are, we should be throwing 60 million at a player that we need, and because ultimately money will get a player out in January.
But this is my question. Are they not prepared to back Ange because they actually know they're going to get rid of him? They're just trying to find someone to take over.
But that's the thing about the DNA. We should be able to sign
incredible
players
regardless.
that fit a manager going forward. We've seen. Do you think Bergvall and Gray and Odegaard and Kinski were all bought with the idea of only ever playing for Ange Postecoglou and they'll go where he goes? No, that's not it.
I'll pick up on a couple of comments. I think that's great points there, James. Daniel Pincus says Ange in. I think Daniel Pincus is from Australia. Don't leave us when he goes, Daniel. I want to pick up Francesca Huckfield says Oliver Glasner's doing well. Francesca, I don't know if you're new to the show, go through our previous videos and listen to our interview with James Holland, who played for Ange in Australia, for the Australian national team. James played for Oliver Glasner at Rapid Austria Vienna. Speaks so highly of Ange, as a couple of guests that played under him have done on the show, but listen to that. He talks about Oliver Glasner saying and Glasner wasn't at Palace, I don't we just got the Palace job. He said this is a good manager. I haven't seen enough of Glasner, but Palace look like they've clicked into gear. Just to go back on my third point that I'd forgotten, I don't really want Allegri as our manager, but at the moment I'd take anyone.
If you asked the question for 6 months, yes, I would have him for 6 months right now over Ange.
I think you would regret it quick.
Well, for 6 months, it can't be any worse. How much worse can it be?
Yeah. Darren Fearon, who says this quite a lot, Ange in the problem is Enoch.
Here's my issue with that, okay, is I think everything that you said on Enoch is correct, okay, and there's no doubt. If we were 6th in the league, playing really good football, and didn't have enough to get into top 4, didn't have enough to get over the line because Enoch haven't done enough, I'd say, yeah, let's have that conversation about Enoch. But Enoch didn't lose to Palace. They didn't drop points to Leicester. They didn't lose from 2-0 against Brighton. They didn't put in that horror show against Everton yesterday. You know, like, there is a point at which, yes, we can have the conversation about Enoch, and yes, they should have bought an outfield player, certainly by now. But Ange is the manager, and we are in the position that we are because of Ange, not because of Enoch. That is not a squad that is 15th in the league. That is not a squad that is 11 points off the top half. It's not. Yeah. So I'm very prepared to have the conversation about Enoch. I'm very prepared to level to level the abuse, or not abuse, the criticism when it's valid. But this is not a squad that is 15th. Nobody sat here at the beginning of the season going, Enoch had done a terrible job, we're going to be 15th and we're going to be way off the top half. Nobody sat here saying that. Nobody. So you can't now say that we're 15th because of Enoch. We're not. We're 15th because of Ange.
Yeah. I think we should have had some people in the first week, and it would have helped us. And I don't think we would be 15th 100%. If we'd made those signings in the first week. And you can see Kinski's coming. It looks like a brilliant signing. For a couple of dodgy moments against Arsenal, fine as a kid getting up to the pace of the Premier League. But he looks like, and he saved us yesterday. I mean, I say we lost, so he didn't actually save us, but he saved us from real humiliation because without some saves from him, it could have been 6 at half-time.
If I said to you, right, Gary, I need you to, I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again. Gary, right, the summer's here, transfer window's open, I need you to go away and sit in a darkened room for 3 months and not look at football, and I'm going to read you our team. I want
to do that right now.
I'm going to read you our team, come out on the first day of the season, and I say to you, Gary, this is our lineup. Kepa in goal. Lewis Cook playing right back, normally centre mid, never played right back in his life. Zabani, you heard of him? No.
Good player.
Okay, hang on. Hussein, Hoysam, whatever his name is, Milos Kerkez, Tyler Adams, Ryan Christie, David Brooks, Justin Kluivert, Antoine Semenyo, Dango Otaro. You're going to go, huh? These boys have just gone up to Newcastle and won 4-1. We said this earlier in the pod. this is less about I want Iraola as a manager, more reiterating my point last week that most Premier League footballers are very, very, very good footballers who just need coaching. The team we put out in terms of names doesn't mean anything, it's all about quality. In terms of quality footballers, I think is as good as that Bournemouth team. Iraola has had injuries throughout the last 4 or 5 weeks. They are unbeaten in 10. Bournemouth, little old Bournemouth, with their 11,000 capacity, the lowest paid manager, probably paying the lowest wages in the Premier League. Little old Bournemouth, I don't care who the manager is, they are 5th in the league, unbeaten in 10. Nottingham Forest, isn't it funny that Nuno's doing really well? No matter who it is, they've got players we would not, I say we, fans would not want at our football club who are being properly coached. You mentioned Marco Silva, I don't think I'd want him as our manager. I think his level is probably Fulham. Doing really, really well. They go to Leicester, win comfortably. They're doing really, really well.
Houston's one that we should have bought instead of Dragusin.
Oh, we went to Serie A and came back with Dragusin.
Houston was linked with us, and I think he was also a Juventus
fine.
boy.
Listen, don't get me wrong, James.
No. I just wanted to chuck that in because
you're absolutely right.
He is exceptional.
Our recruitment is rubbish. Levy's a problem. I think who he delegates to is a problem. It's all a problem. But the bottom line, you said it here. Jamie O'Hara said it on Sky Sports News yesterday. The league is the bread and butter, and we're 15th in the Premier League, and that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. We're not in a relegation battle yet.
Horrendous.
We lose to Leicester on Saturday, Sunday. We are probably turning it into a relegation battle. I do not. But sorry, Dean Fearon again in big shouty letters. How many injuries did Bournemouth have to their first team? I don't know if he's now agreeing with me or not. They had 10. He's agreeing with me. I don't know whether he was agreeing with me or not. Dean, are you agreeing?
But apparently they haven't got 3 games a week, so it doesn't count. Yeah. Like they had 10 injuries. They went up to Newcastle at 12:30. The worst possible. A disgrace of a kickoff time, by the way, for away fans. We're talking about away fans.
They left at 2:15 in the morning. The club coaches.
Disgrace. You know, we spoke about the European Super League. All about the fans. Meanwhile, TV go and put us on a game at 12:30 for Bournemouth away at Newcastle. Utter disgrace. But they still went up there with 10 injuries and won 4-1. So it is possible and it can be done. I want to pick up on Daniel Pincus saying the priority is winning the cup. Who cares if Spurs finish 12th or 8th? Well, hang on. No. On that, I care.
We're not 12th.
Hang on.
I don't pay £1,200 a year for my season ticket for us to throw league games.
Daniel Pincus is a staunch defender of Ange, right? I know nothing about Daniel Pincus, don't know who he is, don't know where in the world he lives. But let me ask you this. A couple of things. One, 8th wouldn't have been good enough for me. I never would have taken that at the beginning of the season. I think the minimum position we could finish would be 7th. The acceptable position is 6th and up and win a cup. That's a proper season. So if we finish 12th rather than 8th, or even 8th and won a cup, for me that still wouldn't be good enough because that is not where Tottenham Hotspur should be. But what if we don't win a cup, Daniel? Where are you then? Answer that, because right now I actually don't back. We could win cups, but right now we've got to go to Villa away to get to the next round of the FA Cup. We've got to go up to Anfield with a 1-goal lead to get to the final of the Carling Cup. We're miles away from winning the Europa League at the minute. So, Daniel, you're a staunch defender of Ange. What if we don't win a cup and finish lower than 12th? Then what?
Well, it's rubbish.
Well, because that's the more likely scenario.
Yeah.
The more likely scenario is we finish 13th or 14th because we're that far off 12th at the minute that 12th looks like a pipe dream. The more likely scenario is that we finish 13th, 14th or 15th and don't win a cup.
Well, there you go. He's answered you. He says Ange is in trouble.
Ange's in trouble. Trouble if we don't win a cup and finish there, mate.
Yeah. Well, he's looking for a new job.
Mate.
But it's even 12. I had this chat with someone else who was being really staunchly Ange. It's 15th. It's not 12th. It's not 8th. It's 15th. It's 3 places above the relegation zone.
Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
That is outrageous, and that is unacceptable. And what led me to start moving the needle, where I'm now like, if he goes, he goes.
Yeah.
Was at first seeing us 13th, and then now seeing us 15th. That is completely unacceptable.
It's James, you're right. And Pilch58 on our comments picks up on what Gary said earlier. All these 17th and Cup fans, if we mess up that Leicester game, you'll see it toxic from the fan base. Okay, this is the point. You don't parachute into big cup ties and win them when you're out of form.
That's the point. We
played really well against Liverpool. I totally agree. Every now and then you might be able to, but you're at home, it's different. Yeah. You go to Anfield on the back of losing to Leicester, and who knows what happened on Thursday night at Hoffenheim. Again, listen to our interview with Kevin about that.
And about the second leg at Liverpool, because we discussed that as well.
Kev's a Liverpool fan, so we talk about that as well. Okay, we have got another game on Thursday from the Weekend, who can't play. The goal, Kinski can't play. Reguilon can't play. Spence can't play. I don't know. Ange said not many are coming back. I think Basuma will come back.
Benton Core should be back.
Gary's taking his boots to Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
Now we're blessed with centre midfielders. We don't need Gary. Benton
We haven't got
back.
6 apparently because Archie's not allowed to play there.
So would he let you play there?
Me as a 6. Doubt it. I don't think he'll let anybody play there. No, too defensive.
I don't know who's going to play left back.
Ben Davies
and Gregerson and Gray centre half.
Porro's still.
Porro.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think actually it might be Gray left back and Davies plays.
Gray play
back,
anywhere.
but
Or do you just play there, Archie?
I'll tell you where he won't play.
Send him in.
Yeah.
Cotton Geezer said Redknapp rest of the season.
So to be fair, you're right. I mean, it will be one of Forster or
Austin.
Austin in goal.
Austin.
I hope
it's Austin.
You've got a back 4 just about. You've got Benton Core and Basuma. So actually, we could still go there with a pretty decent team.
He has to start.
Richarlison should start.
He will start.
Richarlison has to start. The next 2 games. I remember earlier in the season we were talking about what if he doesn't win the next 3 games, and he went and did win those next 3 games. Hoffenheim are a mess at the minute. Leicester are a shower. They are an absolute shower.
6 defeats in a row.
Failure to beat either of these teams, and I mean beat, not even draws, beat either of these teams is an utter disgrace, even more so than we've seen to this point. And somebody made the point on here, if we don't beat Leicester, even a draw at home, it will be toxic. I can assure you, if we do not beat Leicester at home on Sunday, I will be at that stadium apoplectic, because it will be untenable.
I have to leave early on Sunday because my son has a game at 10 to 5, which he doesn't... Traffic. Well, yeah, because he's got a game at 10 to 5, and he really wants to play in it. I have to big him up, and he does listen to the show. He scored a great volley yesterday, so he's buzzing. And he doesn't want to miss a game. So we're going to go to the game, and we're going to leave. So if it does get toxic, I'll be out of there. But you're right. If we don't beat Leicester... The thing is, what is toxic? Because toxic, they'll turn on the chairman. And we've talked about it. I don't want to go too deep.
Darren Fearon says here, I agree. I can't believe that fans can't see that Enoch is the problem. Nobody's saying Enoch aren't a problem.
But in the short term, they're going nowhere in the short term.
Managers that have done better with Enoch still are owners.
Fine. But nobody's saying that Enoch are not a problem. They very much are. I'm saying that Enoch are not the reason that we're 15th. Beyond appointing Ange, right? I don't think they're the reason that we're 15th. Ange is the reason that we're 15th.
Yeah. We've said all along there's a melting pot of problems from top to bottom. But this football team, with all I've said about the other teams above us, I wish I had to stop repeating myself, we should not be 15th in the Premier League. Okay, gentlemen, we're going to wrap up very shortly. Michelle Lawrence, how are Hoffenheim describing us? Have Hoffenheim got a pod that we can tap into? And do you know what would they be saying? They'd be saying they're in terrible form. They are absolutely there for the taking.
We've got a chance. Yeah, we've got a chance.
They're coming off the back of a win, whereas we aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, listen to Kev, because he makes some interesting points that little insight. This might not be a priority of Hoffenheim's. They are just a couple of points off relegation, so this will not be their priority.
Sorry, I do want to go, but I'm going to pick up on Timothy again here. Rubbish. Nothing is an absolute. There are plenty of reasons why we are down there. All Ange's fault nonsense.
Yeah, there are.
No,
there are.
We've said
I agree with that.
Please listen. This is not all Ange's fault, but we are 15th in the Premier League because I don't think he's the right manager. I don't think he's a Premier League manager. I say he has to sort it out. I'm beyond Ange sort it out. I want him gone. I want an adult in the room. I want a proper manager.
He compounds the issues.
And I'm so done with it. I'm done with it. I'm now done with today's episode. Little prediction for Hoffenheim on Thursday.
Our away form is never good. 3-1 though to us. 3-1.
Lovely stuff.
I'm actually only watching the first half on Thursday. I've got a comedy show in London that I'm going to with a mate.
And that will be the first
time. I've got a really nice afternoon out meeting some old workmates, and then watching the first half of Tottenham, which will probably be the sort of down point of the afternoon, and then going to a comedy show. But if we don't come away with a win against a really poor team, then it's bad signs.
If we lose any of the next 3, That's
Who
outrageous.
have we got after Leicester?
Hoffenheim, Leicester, Elfsborg.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah.
Elfsborg.
And I don't care how good they are in whatever league they are in.
No, they're dreadful.
They
they
are-
They haven't
dreadful.
played for,
They're in
haven't played for
Sweden.
months. They're-
Absolutely not.
They're dreadful.
Then the next three is Brentford, Liverpool, Villa, and we have to have players back for that.
Cool.
Oh
Ronnie's
my
optimistic.
days.
Hoffenheim 2, Tottenham 1. Ronnie, I swear, if he loses Hoffenheim, if he's still here by the time we play Hoffenheim, if he loses to Hoffenheim and doesn't beat Leicester,
I do think that Hoffenheim, if we lose to Hoffenheim, he is gone.
it's untenable.
It
It is
is gone.
absolutely untenable. But that's the point. At the point that you're saying it's untenable, the point that like you've got a game to save yourself, you're basically done, aren't you?
Well,
And
Gary, just before we do go, I want to pick up on that because Jake Sanders, a regular on here, picked up a point, or Ollie said it, in that run where I said to you, what happens if we lose our next three? And you said, what happens if we win our next three? Jake made the point that we're on a terrible run. And once you're on these terrible runs, if you have to start picking apart going, oh, if we win it, we'll be okay. Like you just said, if you're one game away from the sack, if you're starting talking about, if we lose again, is he going to get the sack? It's too late. You've got a problem.
I think when we were talking about it earlier in the season, it was a bit early, and there were still signs that there had been tweaks, there had been changes from the summer. I don't think we weren't in the position then that we are now. I think that was a bit premature. But where we are now, I don't see a way back.
And the point was, if you're already talking about you're one game away, he should be gone.
We've got the screen which had Twitter and some quotes on, and there was a couple of things in the sidebar there that United are advanced talks with Patrick Dorgu be a great option for us, and then Liverpool possibly looking at Ryan Cherky. If Ryan Cherky is good enough for Liverpool, then he's absolutely good enough for us, regardless of his attitude. There are players out there, and people go, "Oh, we're not an attractive club to come to."
Rubbish.
What speaks often the loudest is wages, and it always has been.
Yeah.
Just throw it at them and get them in and sort things out.
On that note, we speak about Enoch. If they wanted to do something proper, if they really wanted to, I think Alonso will go to Real Madrid, and I think he's holding out for that. But if they wanted to do something proper, if you wanted to name a manager,
Not happening.
that is the one.
Don't go to a back three coach after we've just built a squad for back four. He's the exception.
He would be the one.
He's Liverpool, Madrid, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right, I'm done. No news is bad news on the Ange front. For me, we'll see what happens. We'll be back on Friday morning. Jake Sanders will be joining us, and one other, don't know. While we preview Leicester, we shall see. Just quickly, James put up an article where they talked about the three managers that are linked with Spurs, and one of them was Edin Terzic, who spelt wrong. So
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Alonso's a favourite.
No. Right, listen, the manager's still here.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
wondered.
I saw it came up there, which is why I referenced it. I don't remember we're not getting Alonso, but that is the. If Enoch wants to do something,
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. James, thank you. Gary, thank you.
Being cathartic.
Yeah.
I still feel angry.
Thank you all for your comments. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell people you don't like. Join our members area if you fancy giving a little bit back to us, and especially Launchpod Studios here. We've got some great members content in there. Go back and listen to previous pods, episodes, interviews we've done. Do all of that before Friday. We will be back on Friday, and up the Spurs.